Good morning. Welcome to another edition of Weekend Wrap Up. I am not your host, David Thomas, and that's not Josh Blevins over there.
It's not?
So, no, this is Mr. Bill Anderson is here with me this morning. I'm Josh Blevins. David is out on assignment, still at Buc-ee's.
I would say he hadn't made it out of Buc-ee's yet.
Still probably hanging out at
Right.
Buc-ee's looking for some brisket, but we're going to fill in for him here this morning and talk about a little bit of the week that went on and what happened here in the big town of Cheville in the past week. It's a beautiful fall morning outside. If we could do the show outside, we probably rather would because it's kind of nice out there.
It's nice.
So, yeah, you could be down at the crap fair or you could be hanging out here with us. So go on down to Bell Buckle and buy you some stuff later in the day.
No.
So, no,
none for me. Too crowded.
All right. But before we get started, let's hear from our sponsors, Mr. Dennis Young and Leverett's Power Washing. We'll get started.
Get the results you want with the personalized service you deserve at Dennis Young Insurance Agency.
As a local independent agency, we offer coverage from several different companies, including Erie. So whether it's auto, home, life, personal, or business, we can find the right coverage to meet your unique insurance needs. And with a rate lock advantage, your rates won't go up as long as you do not change drivers, autos, or addresses. Contact us at Dennis Young Insurance Agency, insuring Shelbyville and surrounding areas since 1988.
Welcome back, and thank you to Mr. Dennis Young, who's been sponsoring us for a very long time, and also to Mr. Leverett at Leverett's Power Washing, also been a long-time sponsor. We appreciate them. And I guess we'll dive right into the week that just happened here in Shelbyville. I had a fairly busy week, a lot of meetings, not a lot super newsworthy, but we got enough that we can talk about it a little bit. So main thing going on in town is development. So there was a lot of meetings about that. I started off Monday morning, 9 a.m. at a city pre-planning meeting. This is the meeting we have. It's mainly city staff and developers talking about things that are coming up on the agenda in the next month as far as new development coming to town. A couple items of interest. Cooper Steel is looking on Madison Street behind the Wendy's, if you know where that is on Madison Street. They own a piece of property there. They attempted to have it rezoned maybe about a year ago. It's currently split commercial industrial. They asked to have it changed to all industrial to use for industrial use. It never got to a vote. They got the hint that that wasn't preferred by the city. I think the reason for that is you don't want industrial right up onto Madison Street. You want to keep that as a commercial corridor. So I'm not sure how this is going to turn out because they're still looking to use the land as industrial, but they've not rezoned it. So they're going to have to do a little bit of work there on buffering and stuff. So we'll keep an eye on that and see what happens on that development. Another interesting piece of property, if you know where International House of Prayer is over there across from the Piggly Wiggly, there is an empty parcel behind them. And they're hoping to sell that off for some development. The issue so far is there's not enough road frontage. Right. It's like 50 feet wide when it hits Union Street there. And it's a little too tight to put a development in behind there. So they're going to have to do some work with that. Also, it butts up against EMS and stuff is right next to them there. So there's really not a lot of room to work with. And then the big one is McDale Lane, which runs right next to the bypass between 231 and Fairfield Pike. There's a developer looking to put a 150 home subdivision in there right now. So it had previously been approved for a subdivision. It went more than 3 years without any development. They lost their vested rights, so they're coming back again to try to get a development going.
And again, anytime you're putting another 150 houses on that bypass or near the bypass, the purpose of the bypass was to bypass traffic.
Right.
Wasn't that? Isn't that the reason for a bypass?
That's the name, at least.
Okay,
you would think
that's
the definition
the name, right?
would be bypass. Yeah.
So then why do we want 150 more houses near that bypass and more traffic?
And McDale Lane, if you've driven down it, is like a lot of the roads in the county, it's very narrow and windy.
Right.
And so they're definitely going to have to look at that. There'll have to be traffic studies because they got to figure out a way to get that traffic in and out of there. There's already approved a R4 apartment development that runs between McDale and
Oh,
the
boy.
bypass there.
There you go.
So,
Oh, we've got
yeah.
enough of that.
So it's that one will definitely be looked closely, but it's already zoned correctly. So as long as they hit all the standards.
Maybe you could explain this to me, but all these apartments and units, and most of them are empty. In a lot of these cases, I could sit here and name you 3 or 4 that are empty. So why do we keep building them if they're not rented and they're not sold?
I guess they're thinking build it and they will come, but
Is that what it is?
yeah, they expecting growth. So let's keep building it. So yeah, we've got a lot townhome wise in
Right.
town out on Madison Street.
Uh-huh.
Those new townhomes all for rent at $1,900+ a month. So
So they
yeah,
start off trying to sell them, and quickly it becomes rental
becomes
property,
rental property.
and then we keep building more of them, and half of them are empty. I just don't understand. We're missing the game here because there's obviously a game to making money with empty stuff. I don't know what that game is. And
Yeah,
At what
and-
point does it somehow become some sort of Section 8 type government assisted at some point? What prevents that from happening?
Yeah, I don't know that you can prevent that from happening.
See,
I think
don't-
legally,
Yeah, I think that's
they're
another
allowed
thing
to
you
do
got to
what
think
they
on.
want
You
to
don't
with it. Yeah, it's
exactly.
private property.
Then
So,
next thing you know, it's not what you thought you were getting.
yeah.
And you've got government assisted housing basically.
Yeah. Well, and speaking of townhomes and rental properties, there was a PUD that's already been approved, Cedar Glade. This is between the Walmart
Okay.
and Victory Baptist, and it was going to be all townhomes. And they're now coming in and they're changing a big chunk of that development, want to not put townhomes and put commercial in there instead. I think they've maybe seen the writing on the wall and said, hey,
Good. I'm
Too
good
many
for commercial.
townhomes.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
good with commercial.
yeah. So
Good.
they're looking at possibly building that road to where eventually, if they can get all the property acquisition, it would connect all the way over to Fairfield Pike. And then that would turn into another commercial corridor in the city. So,
Commercial generates revenue. Commercial jobs.
jobs.
Jobs. I don't need people here with no jobs. You keep moving them here. There are no jobs.
Yeah.
We need jobs
Jobs would be good. Yeah.
because moving people here with no jobs and there's a bedroom community, all of a sudden
They're
you're
all
educating their
commuting to
kids.
Murfreesboro. And,
Well, then you're educating their kids, and that the cost of the education is not covered by the cost of you just living in property taxes. It doesn't cover it.
no, our property tax for a townhome or
It's
starter
not
home does
going
not
to
cover
cover
even one
just the
kid in
education,
school.
not
Yeah.
one. No longer if they bring 3 or 4.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some simple math here that doesn't add up.
Right. So that one may be a good one. The Cedar Glade one, switching to mainly commercial, could be good for the city. Eagle Boulevard, which you know where that's at, runs over by Cooper Steel. There's a section of that where they now have bought
Mhm.
so much land on either side of
Right.
it. They're looking to improve it themselves and possibly take that over as a private road where they can just use that for moving trucks and
I
stuff.
think that'd be
through.
a great idea to me.
So, and that would get the city off the hook for
Yeah.
having to keep fixing it up as
Absolutely.
the trucks run over it. So, Wilhelm property, that's 231 going up. I think they've got is that the equine hospital or they've
Yeah.
got some kind of a horse facility
Right.
there. For years, they have been paying city property tax, and they recently went to annex just a little corner in to add to the parcel, and they realized they're not even in the city. So they've been paying taxes since, forever, and they're not in the city. So they're saying, hey, could we go ahead and get annexed in now? So the trick with the property is it does not have sewer service, and it also doesn't have Shelbyville water. So they're going to be in the city, and they're okay with this, they said, and not get all the city services.
Well, what
So
about the taxes they paid already? Do you have to give it back to them?
I asked that question, and no, by law, they could come back and ask for 2 years if they want to, and they're not even requesting that. So
That's terrible.
they just want to be in the city. I don't know. It's good to be in Chevville, I guess. So you want to be in the city.
No, that's
so.
probably where an apartment complex is going or something.
No,
like
no.
that.
They're supposed to keep the horse facility there. So,
All right.
yeah,
Why would you want to be in the city? What's the benefit?
it's a good question.
water,
I've
no
asked
sewer.
it. Yeah. There's no.
You always have to wonder here.
Yeah, if there's something down the road.
Hey,
but,
I want to pay double in taxes. Why? Well, there's a reason that I want to pay double in taxes because I'm
Yeah.
going to do something with it.
but it's definitely being written in there. It will likely never have sewer. It'll be way down the road because the sewer
Right.
is just not available. So in that location, another annexation. This one is just very close to where Fairfield Pike hits the bypass. Another 25 acres.
Here we go.
They're wanting to bring this into the city for a mix of commercial and residential. The issue being, and this is one of the things that's going to have to be looked at on this property. I heard this discussed at the pre-planning meeting. They're not sure how much sewer service is available on this particular piece of property. So they've got to decide that before they allow it in the city. Because if they do let it in and say it's got sewer, they got to make sure they can serve the
Okay.
sewer. So, which that gets us to another one. This is actually a little bit of old news, but since you were here, we wanted to discuss it. Longview Road, which is out in your neck of the woods, out in the county, not in
Yep.
the city.
Correct.
A couple weeks ago, the developer brought to the county planning commission a new development there. This was phase 2 of, I believe it was 75 houses, 80 acres, no perk sites on the 75 parcels. They're all running into a Adenis step system, distributed wastewater system.
Now, interesting here, the county commission has already turned this down. Now,
The PUD. They turned
We
down
turned
the
the PUD.
PUD.
so they're going to come back here, and it does not have to come back to the commission. So the planning commission trumps the county commission.
They're doing it.
And who
under
elected the planning? I'm sorry,
Yeah.
who elected the planning commission?
They're appointed, I believe.
I understand that, but they're not elected.
They're not elected.
Now, here's the
Yeah.
problem. I've got several problems with this. All I heard when we had this meeting about this was, why would you not want to use Consolidated? They're the best of the best. That's all I heard. And, I was okay with it.
Yeah.
Correct me, and maybe I'm wrong. This company they're using for this step system is the same one in Wilson County and Mount Juliet that the city of Mount Juliet's suing for failures.
They are the ones that have been all over the news. Yeah.
They're all over the news. And
Yeah.
we just going to sit here and approve this one, guys. Come on.
Yeah.
I'm going to go back to something else about why things perk. And it's just not the step system. I've gone over this several times in meetings. It's about the flow of water. Okay. Does water stand? That's part of this is not just a septic tank.
Right.
How does it stand on your property? This piece of property, I've talked to the farmers that farmed it. You can't put T-posts in the ground because it's so rocky.
Right.
The guy who farmed it for 20 years can't cut hay on it. If you can't run cattle on it, how are you going to put 75 houses on it without blasting?
I'd say with blasting. is
Okay.
how they'll
Now,
do it.
at what
Yeah.
point do the neighbors out here and their properties have potential house damage from this? Where do we draw the line of, hey, we're doing this here, but how does it affect this person, this person, this person, this person?
Yeah, now actually, I do know a little bit about that process because they're considering doing that in my subdivision. They actually will hire a third-party company who has to go out and survey every house within a certain area around there, take pictures, and then if they find damage after the fact, supposedly they're insured and they go back and fix it. That's the process. Now, whether it works or not,
Well, I know on my road,
Yeah.
right down the road, when they put the condos in down here behind the Circle K,
yeah,
I had damage. My neighbors had damage. I've got a retaining wall. It's got several cracks in it. Even where my basement, I've got a concrete basement, cracks in it from the blasting.
yeah, and they never came out and
No, they never
Yeah.
offered nothing. Gary Fayhard up the road, he had damage on his place.
Yeah.
So, but let me go back to the flow of water, for example. So if water stands, that's why it doesn't perk. So now when you put 75 houses here, what happens to runoff water in a flooding situation? Is it going to flood someone else? Number two, I have issues with the septic company here. There's a creek 1/10 of a mile from here. I remember that well. And that feeds into the drinking water right there. So if something goes wrong, it's going to hit that creek immediately.
yeah, that would be a TDEC violation.
It's a
for
TDEC
sure.
violation,
So-
and I don't understand why we're back doing this again. I just do not understand it. I don't get it. And the residents out there, of course, didn't want it. You can't build subdivisions just anywhere. And if there are no perk sites, I heard there was room for 2. Then I've heard there's 0. So how are you putting a step system in if none of the property perks anyway? How's that working?
Well, now they claim, and this was the drawing that they showed this, and I don't know which way it was turned, but there was one corner of the property that supposedly had good soil on it. That's where all the
So why are
wastewater
we not
will
using
run.
Consolidated?
So,
Because
the
Consolidated
developer-
probably would have said no to them.
Well, they probably would charge more. I don't know why they chose Adenis. So yeah.
And this is the same company, guys, that up
Yeah.
here in Mount Juliet in Warren County getting sued
they're in some active lawsuits and
for failures, and we keep saying they don't fail. This company right here, failure, failure, failure.
yeah. Not
Did anybody even mention that who the company was? Did
oh, they
anybody-
did. Yeah, no, it was
Nobody had any
mentioned.
reservations about that,
Everybody voted yes at that meeting.
Wow.
So yeah. So
and the
it's-
fact it didn't come back to the commission is just amazing. Whatever.
yeah, once it meets zoning, yeah, and it's the same
Alrighty.
thing in the city. Yeah, anything that meets current zoning comes to the planning commission, does not come to the council. So only when you have to rezone does it come back up to us. So we'll see how it turns out. I'm sure the neighbors will have a lot to say if things go
Because people aren't going to be
sideways,
happy
so,
here, and I hope
yeah.
this doesn't go south on us. But
Yeah.
again, I thought we were using Consolidated and going to work that all out, and now we're going to let some
Now
people
we're
use
going back
whoever.
to Adenis. Yeah, Adenis got approved, and the reason they're allowed to use them is that the state is the one that had the final say, and the state said go for it. So here they go for it.
And you've got a road issue with the road out there, and all that traffic at 75 houses. is
Save
gonna
5
create
houses on a
2 or
old
3
county
cars
road.
on an old county road again.
Yeah, Yeah.
I mean, again, traffic study, do something for me, but whatever.
Yeah. Good times.
We can move
Longley
on.
Road. No, that's all right. Tuesday evening was a county commission meeting. Wasn't super exciting. 30 minutes long. This was supposed to be the quarterly reports meeting where we get 9 quarterly reports from 9 different departments, and 3 of them showed up and 6 didn't. So we got 3 out of 9, I guess is a good number. We did hear, I mean, not to give the 6 that didn't show up a hard time. There were different health reasons and whatnot that the other people weren't there. But only item that really drew any discussion at all was what the county is going to charge for out-of-county inmates. They're currently housing inmates. I believe it's DeKalb. One of the
Giles, a whole bunch from Giles.
is it
County.
Giles? One of the
Giles
counties,
County.
their jail has been decertified or is about to be decertified. So we've been housing them. We've been charging the state rate for those inmates, which is $44 a day, but we were fairly certain that that didn't even cover our costs.
No, it does not. I've argued this over and over and over.
Yeah. So they had Robert Daniel go in and get his he had him a fancy spreadsheet. It was like 13 pages long, put in all kinds of numbers, and out at the end of it, it calculated $75.03. It was very specific.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. So they are now going to
So
charge.
when you're housing
$75.03.
state inmates, 75 minus 44,
Yes. So you're losing.
you're going in the hole.
Yeah.
You're not deferring cost. You're going in the hole.
Yes, and now, and I'll give you the other argument because I heard it from some people from the sheriff's department while I was standing there. Their argument is they get $1 million from the state every year, and if they just took those inmates away, most of their costs are fixed, and they would have to pay them anyways. So there's a little
The
room
state
for
of Tennessee's
argument
got a
there.
really good
Yeah.
racket here. They didn't tell us the truth on all this one. They get Coffee County to build a 400-bed jail. They tell us to build one over here. They claim the staffing's going to be less. That's not the case.
Yeah,
None of it was true.
no, they need room for state
But
inmates.
they need room for state inmates, so the state doesn't have to house them. So you wind up housing their inmates for them. The negative on that is always been once a state inmate gets out, typically you're broke. Where are you going?
Well, you're going to stay where you're at.
You're going to stay where you're at. So they're not going anywhere.
Yeah. Now, in defense to that, a state inmate in this case is someone that already was in
Right.
Bedford County, got convicted in Bedford County,
Right.
and probably was from here anyways. So they're
Not when
yeah.
you're bringing them in from other counties and taking
Well, the
them
out of county ones are not,
No.
but the state inmates, they're not bringing people in from Williamson County. and
Coffee
putting them
County,
there.
I'm going to tell you
So,
right now, and I've got a buddy over at the sheriff's department. He told me their jail is completely full, nearly with state inmates, 70% of them. That's what he told me. 70% state inmates.
Yeah, Rutherford is having overcrowding issues too, and they've got the same issue. It's because the state inmate number is too high.
Right.
So, yeah.
And if there was really real money in this, a private company would be opening up prisons right and left, wouldn't it?
Right. And we have a few of those private ones, but there's apparently not enough money in it.
Of course there's
So, yeah. Thursday morning, I went to the ever exciting Railroad Authority meeting. We do have a railroad here in town. I believe it's the Walking Horse Railroad. It runs from War Trace over into the city here. Services about 4 or 5 big companies. Big news in the world of railroads is that funding for short line railroads currently does not exist at the state level. There was something passed a number of years ago where a portion of some tax that normally would have gone to roads was supposed to go to these short line railroads. People in the roads business were not happy with that. It's been tied up in court ever since. They've collected $50 million of this tax money, but because of lawsuits, the state can't release it to the railroads. So our particular railroad here in the city, we are spending in this budget year literally down to our last couple $100. I mean, down to where you couldn't do anything. We will have no funding left at all. But however, we will be at the point where we could operate for in the neighborhood of 4 to 5 years with no additional funding. But if they don't get something figured out at the state, eventually the railroad's going to need repaired again, and there's no money there. So there's not enough money raised from the customers. Again, we've only got 5
Right.
customers here for this railroad. So there's not enough money raised just hauling the goods to pay for it.
Didn't have that, you'll have trucking in, right?
Your alternative is trucking.
Trucking.
Trucking's more expensive. This is big,
Right.
heavy stuff.
Right.
Like this is the metal recycling place.
So the hope would be maybe the lawsuits would be settled in the next 4 or 5 years before you need it, possibly, and it might fix itself.
That is the hope, but they said there's been no movement on these
Right.
lawsuits in years.
Right.
So the other hope is it's an election season coming up. They're hoping to find somebody running for governor that's willing to put in the budget. They feel like $20 million a year in the state budget would fix this for the whole state. They would
Right.
just split that. There's a number of these short line railroads all the way across the state They just can't operate on their own, but to shut them down is a hardship on these
Hey,
businesses.
state
that
seems
use
to have
them.
plenty of
So
money, don't they?
they do.
Uh-huh.
Well, they did mention that to me. They said $20 million in the TDOT budget is like a rounding error. I mean, they wouldn't even notice it at TDOT.
Right.
So, but it's not currently in there.
You gotta love government.
Yeah. So they currently are getting no funding, and the money is running out. So as soon as I walked out of that meeting, I would just happen to be walking out to the square to go to my vehicle, and they were putting up a big old sign at the Grindstone Cowboy over there. So I went and hung out for a couple hours at the not yet open Grindstone Cowboy. Things are looking good over there. If you've not seen the pictures online, they got them a very nice looking sign. The city continues to work on the South Spring Street construction project. Little breaking news. I was there about an hour and a half ago, and on a Saturday morning, Public Works is there. Our city manager is there, and a concrete crew. And they are pouring concrete on a Saturday morning on South Spring Street because the city is committed to making sure that that is able to open on time.
And it makes sense to do that without the traffic of being up there with everybody being open on a Saturday is a great time to do it.
Buck was less excited, I think,
I'm
about
sure.
it being on a Saturday. He got the call
understand.
at 6 o'clock this morning, but he was there. He was committed. And yeah. And kudos to him for actually coming out on
Those guys do a good job.
on a Saturday, and they're up there pouring concrete. There is a tentative opening date. I'm not going to pre-announce their opening, but expect them to be open in early November.
Okay.
And I would expect there'll be announcements here in the next couple of weeks on that. So that's something to look forward to. Thursday evening, I went to the school board meeting. This is the one they have annually over at Chevrolet Central, where they give out all the awards. We have a ton of level 4 teachers, level 5 teachers, level 5 schools. I'd read the list like they did, but they went on for like an hour or something. So go back and watch the video if you want to find out who won what. But we've got a lot of good things happening at the school system. They also presented $20,500 in teacher grants. Those came from the Community Foundation. Those are 18 grants for things that help fund things for teachers inside the classroom that otherwise isn't in the budget. So most of that money was raised at that 5K race that they had last year, Community Foundation 5K. They approved a master plan for Liberty School. They now have an idea, if they ever get around to building a high school, of where it will go on the property. So they've got an actual layout of where the school building would go, where the sports facilities will go, all that. So now they just need, if somebody wants to write them a big $50 million check, they could build it all probably. So, and they were very clear that just because they have a master plan doesn't mean they've approved a high school going in Liberty. They just know where they're going to put it if they come up with the money ever. So, in addition, last thing, we've been following this, David and I have, attendance continues to run 250 students behind last year. This is honestly the second year in a row that attendance numbers are down. This everything we're hearing from people in the school system, it has to do with homeschooling. More people are deciding they would rather educate their kids at home than in the public school system. So,
and you got privates now. You got Cooper Academy coming over here.
We do have more private schools.
So you got a private thing too that's going to draw
a little bit.
Yeah,
a little bit. So
and it's just going to be more and more of this. The private school grows. Too.
Yeah. Now, which is to say, this is not a bad thing because the county's been struggling keeping up with facilities.
Absolutely.
We just now got out of the portable business within this school year. So it wouldn't hurt, I'm sure, anybody's feelings at all if these numbers, lagged behind for a couple of years so they could get caught up on facilities. Because we've got, apart from needing Liberty High School at some point, I know East Side and South Side are just very long in the tooth, I guess would be the way you would say. Yeah, they've been there forever. And both could use replacing. So if they continue to have a steady student number where they don't have to rush and build a high school, maybe they could fix that problem. Thursday evening, I did not get to go to this, but fortunately the city puts this on the YouTube, so I watched it. There were 2 items on the BZA. This is the Board of Zoning Appeals. If you want to bring something into the city that doesn't meet the rules and you can explain why you think you should be able to anyways. Sometimes you can get stuff through BZA. I'm sure it's deeper than that. That's all I know about it. But there were 2 items that were kind of controversial. Neither one passed. Coney Island Road, where, as you know, it kind of butts up to the river.
It's in my district.
You got some houses there. Those houses are in the 100-year floodplain area.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And
Josh, I'll tell you, in the last 20 years, I have seen water where the yellow trucking lot over across that road and the road closed.
Yeah.
Not to mention there's houses there now. I've seen the river 3 times in the last 20 years that high.
Yeah. So that kind of shoots a hole in the 100-year floodplain. if it's
Oh,
bad.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what we got to take account here. We've had dry weather the last several years. We haven't had much flooding,
Right. Not recently.
not recently.
Yeah.
But when it comes and rears its head, a lot of this new construction we're allowing is going to be a major, major problem.
Well, and in this case, as you know, they've already built the whole row of houses.
Still don't see
They
how that was
wanted to
approved.
stack
Still don't see it.
duplexes behind
Yes.
the houses closer to the river.
So you're
than the
going to build,
houses.
you're building it up and
build
putting it
up
apart.
more. Yeah.
It sinks.
Yeah.
After you build it up, it's going to sink. Number
Mm.
two, you want to talk about what it does to someone's property. You know whose property's right across the river from there?
Who's that?
Brett Kennedy. Used to be Bud McGrew.
Yeah.
Okay. You know what happens to Mr. Kennedy's property now because of this?
You probably get some flooding.
Well, it flooded before because it's low side on both sides of the river. But now
Right.
that you built it up, you've forced water damage all across his property.
Yeah.
So to give to one, you've damaged another man's land.
Right. Just so they could build some
Just so
houses.
you can build some houses, and now you want to put a duplex there. And you've got to think, guys, how does this affect the guy next door? How does it affect the property owner here? Because they've got, and under these zoning things, it's number 4 of the state. You had to take into account other people's properties.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I'm glad y'all denied it, but I don't see how we approved it to start with.
Well,
The TVA power line was right there. I heard you couldn't do that. That one got in.
yeah. In this case, it honestly got denied on a little bit of a technicality in that they had only allowed 50 feet of road frontage to get back to these duplexes, and it required 75 feet. So they were 25 feet short. And
That'll
the
come
other
back.
issue that was raised was the fire department said, hey, if you build these back here, yeah, you can build the duplexes up technically out of the floodplain by a foot or two, whatever they do. But to get to them, you got to drive through the flood area. So if it flooded, we couldn't get to the house if it was on fire, if there was a medical emergency. You would have to walk through some neighbor's yard to get back there.
This piece
So-
of property right here has a curve in the river right here, and it comes up to Coney Island is, okay?
Yeah.
Both sides are low. Even if
Right.
you build this up, if it ever comes around this curve and the river gets out of this way, you're never going to be out of the floodplain. In fact, if you
Yeah.
built it up, you may not be able to get to the said condos because the water is going to be standing between the houses and the condos.
They could end up surrounded, depending
And
on
you
how it
could be
works.
surrounded and totally stuck. And
Yeah.
how can an ambulance get in there? How can a fire truck get in there?
Well, the fire department said they definitely couldn't get in there. They're not driving through floodwaters. So,
And it could be really dangerous right there, guys. I mean, I'm serious. I mean, living on that road and all these years, I have seen that whole play. And recently,
Yeah.
this year, there's been water standing back there
Well,
this year.
they said they have at least 2 or 3 other ideas of how they think they can pull it off and make it happen. So we'll see what they come back
But what's
with.
tough is where that river, the curve in that river is, if it ever
Right.
gets out of the other bank, it's not going to, even though you've directed it.
It's all over. It's
What
all
was it?
over.
I had somebody tell me that you cannot affect the flow of water. Water is going to beat you every time. You can't beat water.
Eventually, yeah. Eventually the water will get you.
Yep.
The other thing that actually got denied was somebody requested to put a billboard this is the white building next to Feldhouse Investor. It
Okay.
used to be K. Ellen Boutique. And there is a city ordinance that we do not allow 2 billboards within 600 feet of each other. Their argument was they found 3, I believe, that are out of compliance, which means that they probably never should have been built to begin with, but somebody let those slip through. But in this case, this one was caught and they stopped it. So there's a reason you don't want billboards 600
Two
feet
wrongs
from each
don't make a
other.
right, do they?
Yeah. And honestly, the 600-foot number needs to change. We're starting to get a lot of
Make it 1,200.
sign pollution here in town.
Yes.
It's getting out of hand with the billboards and digital billboards. We're not
It's a
the
distraction to
interstate-
drivers.
Yeah.
They don't want you texting. They don't want you watching a video
Yeah. Flashing billboard.
flashing
or whatever.
billboard either.
So, and I think a lot of those sign ordinances are going to be up for some discussion fairly soon. But in this case, this one already didn't meet.
You go
it,
through
and
a
they
lot of
denied it.
different towns, Josh, and you will see they don't even allow them at all.
Right. Nice.
Not even
Nice
big towns.
towns, yeah.
Nice town. No,
Yeah.
They don't allow them.
Right. Yeah. So we do, but in this case, this one did get turned down. So this one will not be
Right.
happening at that location.
All
And if
right.
you know that location, actually literally across the street from it, one has gone up in the last couple of months. And that's part of the reason it's not allowed. It was that close. You could see the one right from the other. So with that, I think we have hit all the major items I was going to cover from this week. I think we got some stuff coming up next week, but before we go into that, maybe we'll hear from our sponsor one more time, unless you had anything else.
Let's hear from Dennis Young.
Let's hear from Dennis.
Leverett
Young, and we'll be
Power
right
Washing.
back. So.
Get the results you want with the personalized service you deserve at Dennis Young Insurance Agency.
As a local independent agency, we offer coverage from several different companies, including Erie. So whether it's auto, home, life, personal, or business, we can find the right coverage to meet your unique insurance needs. And with a Rate Lock Advantage, your rates won't go up as long as you do not change drivers, autos, or addresses. Contact us at Dennis Young Insurance Agency, insuring Shelbyville and surrounding areas since 1988.
Welcome back, and thank you to Mr. Dennis Young and Mr. Leverett, Leverett's Power Washing, for sponsoring the show.
How long's Dennis Young been with y'all? Ever since the show pretty much
As
started?
long as the show started, yeah, he's
Great
been there
insurance
from the
company.
beginning. So yeah, and he doesn't just sponsor us. If you see, he sponsors everything going on in town. If there's an event, if there's a nonprofit, if there's whatever,
Right.
Dennis Young is all over it. So we appreciate him. Upcoming week, I've got quite a few meetings. I've just got two I put on the agenda to talk about. Tuesday evening, we've got county committee meetings. I think you might be on a county committee, so you'll be at those.
I will.
On your rules committee, they're going to talk about the wastewater issue again. So I
Good.
guess they got to figure out, we are currently not regulating in any way in the county wastewater. It goes through the state, and we end up with things like this Adinas situation you just talked about. So
And they're going to want to probably do a water board thing again, which opens up another can of worms.
they may want to do water
I'm
board
sure
again.
it's
I don't
coming.
know. I don't know what the solution is, but they at least need to get in some kind of county regulation.
Sure.
Because as long as we have no rules, we're stuck with whatever the state tells us.
You were at
So,
that meeting where I was brought up my little plan because I'm
Yeah.
not a big fan of the step systems, and what's happened in Wilson County is why
right?
they failed. They're failing, and we acted like they weren't.
Yeah.
But I kept hearing, well, it's consolidated. They're the best in the state. Why wouldn't we want to use them? Well, you've had plenty of time. Why don't we have a deal with consolidated?
Because Adinas maybe was cheaper. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure who
So you
made
know,
the
that's
call.
well, it's been that's been several months.
That's been months ago. Yeah, that was months ago.
So if I don't get a water board, then I'm not going to do this. That's what's looking to me.
Yeah, I guess we'll. I bet
guess
that
we'll
will be
find
up
out.
for discussion Tuesday evening about 5 o'clock
we'll
at
find
the
out.
historic courthouse. So, and then Thursday evening, the City Planning Commission is meeting. I sit on that commission. We will be discussing whatever's coming up in ongoing projects. It's not a big agenda. I think it was 2 pages long. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head if there's anything controversial. I can't think of anything, but we'll talk about it next week, whatever happens at that one. And
What's the other board you sit on? You're on the other board. You're on the council.
Council, Planning Commission,
Planning Commission.
Railroad Authority. Yeah. So,
Planning Commission.
Yeah.
Remember this.
Yeah.
No.
No, is
The
that
word no. They ain't nothing wrong with the word no. It never hurt nobody.
Yeah.
It doesn't damage the neighbor's property. No's not a bad thing.
I have voted no on
I
stuff
know you
that's
have.
bad for the city. So yeah, we don't get enough no votes
Because
so-
sometimes we have to think about all of us and not just people wanting to make money.
right. Yeah.
I
you
mean,
gotta-
I know you want to make
Yeah.
money, but how does that affect this person, this person, this person, this person? You making
And-
money can't affect the other person.
right. And you want to think about the people moving into development. If they're going to be there 10 years down the road,
Yes.
15 years down the road, 20 years down the road, what's their quality of life gonna
And
be?
I'm afraid a lot of what I've seen, I've said it, David Thomas has said it, I'll say it again. Let's see what a lot of this stuff I'm watching being built looks like in 10 years, folks. I'm afraid we're not going to like what we see.
Yeah, construction quality is not
It's
what it
not
was.
what it was.
Yeah, definitely not. So, but with that, thanks for joining us today. We'll be back same place, same time, same channel next week. I think even you might be back.
I
next
think I
week.
may be back next
think
week.
David will still be at Bucky's.
I
next
think he'll
week.
be at
He's got
Bucky's again.
He's got
The opposite way of Bucky's.
Bucky's trip. So thanks for joining us.
Thanks for doing the sports show with us.
Yes.
He directed the sports show today. Thank you.
Yes, and thanks for hanging out with me.